You're up awfully early. If you find yourself having to burn the midnight oil, give DeLuna Coffee's Midnight Shift a shot. This blend is pure Pensacola. DeLuna Coffee, in conjunction with the Pensacola Police Department, created this medium dark roast to make sure the city is caffeinated. A portion of every bag of Midnight Shift sold is donated to the Raleigh Foundation for Childhood Cancer Research. Try it or one of their over 24 blends and get a discount when you use the promo code WARCHANT15. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hujavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. That promo code is WARCHANT15. Use it over on that website. Treat yourself. Treat yourself. Again, get the bundle. You get a bag of delicious coffee, you get a tin of sea salted caramels, and you get a tumbler. And Corey, I've heard that transit times are going to be a little bit wonky for the Christmas season. So, order it now, keep the tumbler, give coffee to somebody you like in the office, and then put the sea salted caramel tin as a stocking stuffer for your spouse or maybe your child. You know, I'm just Ed, Brett, and Courtney trying to help you, everybody. Help them help you.
Am I supposed to talk now? All right. What a start.
Coming out the gates
Yeah,
hot.
absolutely. They're Noles. Great Christmas gift. Probably a good Halloween gift, honestly. Like, people don't give Halloween gifts for some reason. That's coming up, and nobody gives Thanksgiving gifts. It's like, oh, here, hold this fruitcake or hold these yams. Like, that's not a gift. Like, bring a real present to Thanksgiving. If somebody's nice enough to host you for 4 hours and feed you, bring them a gift. The gift of DeLuna Coffee.
All right. The Etiquette Hour, courtesy of Corey Clark of WarChant.com, lead senior writer of the Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Promo code is WarChant30. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, you know what to do. Thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, totally free. Hit that bell, set your notifications. And if you're on an Apple iOS device, like, I don't know, 87% of the people out there that listen to the show, 5-star rating, review it. Positive stuff, though, at least for Corey. You can omit anything about me. It's fine. They practiced on Tuesday. They'll practice again later today as you're listening to this. We'll be live 6 p.m., by the way, Corey, if you want to put that on the calendar. We'll be live Wednesday doing this.
Hey, a little pivot, a little pre-production meeting live on air for everyone to see. Could we maybe make that like 6:20, 6:25?
Sure.
So everybody knows Brady's the first, I don't know what you call him, the first child of Wake Up Warchant. He's got drama practice until 6 after school, and then at 7 he's got baseball practice. So I got to pick him up from school at 6 and get him to his coach's house so his coach can drive him to baseball at by like 6:15, 6:10, 6:15. So that's why I'm trying to push it back if I can.
All right, not a problem. We'll have practice reaction updates, interviews up on the website for you folks on Wednesday, so check out the website. Not a lot to glean from what happened on Tuesday morning. They practiced. It looked as it usually sort of does. A couple nice catches. 7-on-7. I think it was Tate that threw it up. Andrew Parchment made a nice adjustment on I don't know if it was back shoulders, a little bit underthrown. Maybe he overran it. Maybe both he and the DB overran it, but he was able to stop and then pivot, to use a word that you just dropped on us there, Corey, and make a good catch. And then McKenzie had a nice 25-yard out throw against scout team defense. Now, it wasn't like a bullet, but there's man coverage on the boundary side of the field, nobody else in the vicinity, so he knew where he could put the ball, so it looked good. Otherwise, on the depth chart, everything stands. Jordan Travis, QB1. So buckle up, everybody. Let's get right on the ponies then, Corey. Unless you have some stuff you want to talk and explore about, I'd just rather get to the Renegade Express right now. I had this whole long monologue almost I want to dive into about just what are we going to do for the rest of this season? Like, where are we at? Think about North Carolina, which was so awesome last year, is that I thought, man, that game, instant turnaround. Like, that was a jumping off point. Man, they're cooking with grease. 2021, who knows, man? 8 wins might be kind of that attainable 9 wins. Maybe you can sneak around and beat one of your rivals, which I guess is still on the table. But, here we are, 1-4, 1 week away from the bye, playing a 17-point, we're 17-point underdog on the road. And, what do we really know about the future? We don't know anything. We don't know if it's going to work out with this guy. We hope it does. So what a weird place to be. And we're still, got, 7 more weeks of going out there and watching practice and trying to ask relevant, timely questions. Not complaining, not trying to do a sob story to anybody, but just what a weird place to be at. Just wish we knew sooner than later, but we're not going to know. We're not going to know until 2023, you've said a couple times, Corey? Because this is a rebuild. Although I don't know. Again,
it is. And
I didn't sign up for a rebuild, Corey. Is it a rebuild when you go and grab 13 transfers in the portal?
Oh yeah, they grab 10. How many of them can play? How many are it's a rebuild, and those guys are only here for a year. If Jermaine Johnson was a sophomore, you'd be like, okay, there's an anchor. Keir Thomas, those 2 guys for the next couple of years. All right, I see you working, but no, they're going to be gone. So as good as they've been, and they have been, it's going into next year, you're still going to have to hope some of these young guys can develop and start to play. And speaking of transfers, just looking at this team, who is the best player on this current team that started their career at Florida State?
Ooh.
Is it Trayshawn Ward?
Coop?
A walk-on?
Yeah. I was going to say Robert Cooper, but
Cooper. Yeah, Cooper's been playing really well, actually.
But Trayshawn Ward, that's fair. To your point, right? I guess make your point.
Well, that is the point. You can't. What was the complete either strikeouts, miscalculations, or the guys leaving from those 2 classes between Jimbo and Norvell is just. With no quarterbacks that were signed. It's just, you want to know how a program can look like this.
But you got Jordan Young. Not Jordan Young, I'm sorry. You got Jordan.
You do have Jordan Young.
You do have Jordan Young. You got Jordan Wilson. You got Jordan everybody. But Jordan Travis, does that not count as having – I know it's not a prep quarterback, but, again, this is a guy that you're leaning on. He broke the stone after the game in the locker room, and he's QB1.
Oh, he did. Did they have video of that? I didn't see it.
No, but if you had tuned into Trench Talk with Devontae Love-Taylor, we discussed that.
Sorry, man.
That's okay.
Sorry,
you're busy,
buddy.
dude.
I think I was walking.
You got children and stuff.
Keep this
girlfriend.
Keep this body in shape. I got things I got to do. You know that. But no, yeah, Jordan Travis is. But again, he's a guy that didn't start here necessarily, and not necessarily. He didn't start here. He started at Louisville, and the point being, there were guys out there that maybe if you signed and developed, this program would be in better shape. Again, love you, Jordan, but. It's hopscotch with that kid. Is he out of the lineup or in the lineup? Out of the lineup or in the lineup? Can he play or can he not play? And as much as I love him, and I was singing his praises yesterday, because I do think when he's on the field, he finds a way to make it happen and get points on the board. I don't know, going into 2022 and 2023, you can keep hoping that that's going to be the year he stays healthy. This is going to be the year he just rolls through it, plays 12 games, they win 9 of them. Yeehaw, we did it. So that's why you'd like to have somebody that maybe had been signed one of those other 2 classes that was worth a darn. But overall, just those 2 classes, man, you want to know how a program looks like this program looks from the heights it was at to this. Well, have 2 straight recruiting classes like that where maybe, 35% of those guys are still on the roster, 25%, 10% probably contribute and play. Those are 2 complete whiffs of recruiting classes. It's like, the death penalty would have been worse, but not. They basically just went 2 whole recruiting cycles without getting anybody that really stands out and matters on either side of the ball. Think about that. Who is the 2 best guys? Are a defensive tackle who's pretty good. I'm not trying to say Robert Cooper isn't good. He's been good this year. It's been his best year. And then Trayshawn Ward, a former walk-on. Who else? Pokey, Keyshawn, Cam McDonald, nice-ish players, I guess.
Right.
Average, really, honestly. And you just haven't knocked any out of the park with those 2 recruiting classes, and then we have no idea what the one from 2020 is going to be, or 2021 for that matter. But man, yikes! I mean, I bet you could. I bet the top 10 players on this team before you. Well, excluding Ward because he was a walk-on, but scholarship recruited athletes at Florida State. I bet. How far down the list do you have to go to get to Robert Cooper as the best one of those? Like, how many transfers are ahead of him? Vital, more important. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably the 8th best player on the team, and the other 7 in front of him are transfers. It's just crazy. So hopefully they do it again next year and knock it out of the park next year. Maybe get some linemen in here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that said, let's get to the Renegade Express now. We begin with NYC_Nole_2. Not to be confused with NYC Nole that's got Paul Gleason from Breakfast Club. This is the NYC Nole with Charlie running away from Miami defender. But 92 Charlie, not 93 Charlie, 92 Charlie.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, anywho. Wake up, Nole Nation. It's unfortunate we've already lost 4 games. Guess that means the best we can do is 8-4. 10 wins will have to wait till next year. I jest. Just want to highlight a point that I think may be getting lost in our week-to-week analysis. We're familiar with the phrase, the best defense is a good offense. I think we can agree. Even when we do score points, the drives are usually inconsistent and erratic. Against Syracuse, it felt as though, especially in the first half, the defense got great stops, then the offense would go 3 and out or have the ball for 120 seconds before punting and putting the defense back on the field. It's hard to quantify momentum, but even with equal time of possession, it felt as though FSU's offense squandered great effort by the defense early on and put them on their heels. They made up for it late by breaking off some big plays, but over the course of the game, the defense seemed to play more consistently for longer stretches of time, keeping the offense in the game. As an example, Florida State gets that goal line stand, offense then immediately goes 3 and out, and the defense is back on the field again. As Corey would say, you're allowed to get a first down. That's legal. Against North Carolina, the offense will need to drive the ball for 5 to 6 minutes at a time, or they will probably get boat raced by Sam Howell early in the game. Anyways, good to get that win monkey off our backs. Hopefully we can string 2 together. As always, drink DeLuna, hit that like button, and go Noles. P.S. Been trying to get my questions in, but with all this renewed interest in FSU football, the Renegade Express parking lot is full by Wednesday. He ain't wrong, man. We almost get as much hits as like Seminole Headlines questions as elite headliners. But
all right. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know there's still passion and curiosity about this program. And, yeah, I mean, I think that's what you have right now. In a perfect world, you would have a consistent offense that can move the ball, hold on to the ball, and score. Right now, I feel like when Milton's the quarterback, they get maybe more – there's maybe a little more fluidity as far as 3-4 first downs in a row. But once they get inside the red zone, that's a wrap, or inside the 30, really. With Jordan Travis, I feel like I haven't done the numbers crunching. You get more 3 and outs, you get more 21-second drives, but then you also get more touchdowns because of the big play factor for whatever reason. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, 33 has to be enough. You can't ask for the offense to score much more than 33. And, well, hey, it was enough, wasn't it?
It was.
And it would have been enough the week before.
Yep.
They would have won 33-31. The defense, you see what the defense is going to do, but I agree, especially in a game like this. If you answer touchdowns with 3 and outs, it could get ugly quick. Because as much as we think this team has some fight in it that it didn't have last year, if you get down 21-0 on the road, it could get ugly. It could get really ugly. So, yes, the best defense is a good offense. The best way to keep that defense from being scored upon is to keep it off the field. So it would be nice if the offense can sustain some things. It just doesn't feel like they're built like that for right now.
But you do say it's 21-0. There's 6 minutes left in the second quarter, and then Jordan Travis busts off a 60-yard run. Then they go hurry up, and Trayshawn Ward scores a touchdown. It's 21-7. There's 4:30 left. North Carolina goes 3 and out. Then you get the ball back, and then you score again before half. So I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if this team ever really is dead until crazy enough. They haven't rolled over.
Well, so I felt like the Wake Forest game was there to be taken up until Jordan Travis decided to get drilled right between the 1 and the 3. And then he tried to gut it out in that first drive of the second half, but he was hurt. And that was a wrap. I really thought, because they had 2 touchdown drives in that second quarter to get kind of back in the game, and are on probably at the Wake Forest 40, 42 when they went for it on fourth down. If you scored there, it's a real game. It's a real game. And we'll see if Wake Forest would have handled that game pressure better, but you didn't score. Your defense let them go right down the field and score, and that was kind of a wrap.
Noles Show 88. Good morning, gentlemen. What player, not named Jameis Winston, from the 2013 team could you infuse into this year's roster to make the biggest impact in the win column in parentheses? Although any player from 13 would be a dramatic upgrade, I would say LaMarcus Joyner. You could plug him in anywhere in the secondary and would be good for a big play or two every game, which is a play or two more than we get now. Thanks, guys, for all you do. Go Noles. That's not a bad answer at all. Go ahead.
There's so many good answers, right? Like, good grief. They're literally Kelvin, Rashad, Telvin.
When I first read this question, I only read the first sentence. I didn't read him having LaMarcus, which was like, what player from 2013? And I was like, I don't know, like, give me PJ or Darby. Like, they need a cornerback so bad. Like, watching Asante Samuel on Monday Night Football was just, ooh, what I would do to have him back. Like, just what a luxury to have, like, a true cover corner that can just handle his business.
You had Jalen Ramsey, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was a freshman, but so I would take Joyner. I think 2013 Joyner was better than 2013 Ramsey just because of the difference in experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, good grief. Telvin, Jernigan, Cam Irving, Brian Stork.
But
imagine have like a Remington Award winner at center right now.
Yeah, that one hurt. But like they're playing the run good enough. They're pressuring the quarterback good enough with their front four, like not to ever try to diminish.
Yeah, you're right.
But in terms like they need a really good cornerback, defensive back. Maybe that's him being.
Well, and they also need a big time receiver.
So yeah, I say Kelvin or Joyner probably. Joyner 1A, Kelvin 1B. No offense, Rashad, but just there's something about Kelvin that just the stature of him. I'll just always.
Yeah, in 2013, Kelvin, especially second half of that season, that the Florida State hasn't had anything like that really probably since Peter Warrick, a guy that just dominated games. Yeah. Different kinds of dudes, clearly, but the impact they had was very similar to the second half of that season. But Rashad, man, imagine Rashad getting those one-on-one matchups. Like, he would eat for days. But, yeah.
Press man,
are you kidding? Yeah, good luck, North Carolina. But, yes, they wouldn't press man Kelvin Benjamin because that would be a touchdown. Yeah, I'm going to say Kelvin Benjamin because you just throw it up to that dude, like, genuinely. Like, maybe you beat Jacksonville State because you're throwing it up to him instead of Malik McClain. Maybe. Right. But, yes, because you don't have to be – with Kelvin Benjamin, just get it in the neighborhood. Just throw it up, and he can go make an incredible catch, like the one against Clemson to start that game. I mean, you remember all of the catches he made. Oh, yeah. I think Kelvin's my answer, even more than LaMarcus.
Okay. All right. Random_John. Let me see here. He's got like 6 graphs, but they're just like 3 sentences each. Good morning, Aslan, Corey, and all of you wonderful folks listening. After the Notre Dame game, I felt the best I have felt after a loss. After Syracuse, I felt worse than I have after a win. Actually, let me read that again verbatim, like a real human being should. After the Notre Dame game, I felt the best I have after a loss. After Syracuse, I felt the worst I have after a win. Deep. That's deep. I like that. As Corey
I'm going to say no way on that. I'm going to say he definitely felt worse after the Louisiana Monroe win when they missed the extra point.
Okay.
In overtime.
All right. Respond random_John to
But
that.
it's a very I get the overall sentiment. I get it, but I just think, man, that Louisiana Monroe win, I've never seen a win feel more like a loss.
What about that Samford game in 18?
Oh, that was great. You pick 6 to ice it? Are you crazy?
As Corey pointed out in his Pulitzer-worthy story, Jordan Travis is our best chance of winning. Meaning an actual offense with real design plays is not our best chance of winning. We have to rely on broken plays and the elusive running of a fragile-bodied Jordan Travis and the occasional 1 or 2 runs by Ward. Yes, Corbin gets the bulk of carries and warrants all of his accolades, but I digress. Imagine what happens when Travis gets inevitably injured again. Our options are a one-legged guy or 2 other guys the coaches clearly don't trust to hit water if they were throwing a ball into the ocean. Man, random_John, he's like the counterpoint, the counterweight to our guy Mark.
Yeah.
I love it though, John. We're of the same ilk.
You guys are kindred spirits.
Yeah, knowing that our defensive backs have never before seen a forward pass, and our offense is relying on run for your life Travis plays because our offensive line can't block and receivers can't get open. What is our reasonable expectations of this team moving forward? I mean, in terms of what to look for on the field. With what you say is reasonable and said reasonable expectations are met on field play, what changes would you make in the offseason? What would be your reason for your choice of changes after these reasonable expectations were met? Everyone, order DeLuna coffee, eat Zaxby, subscribe to Warchant, click the like button to help boost Aslan and Corey's confidence. Go Noles. P.S. Corey, I like your columns better than Ira's.
Oh, man. There you go.
Rude.
Hey, you're not alone.
Rude.
It was. Don't take shots at Ira. But, hey, I appreciate it. That's fun. I like my columns better than Ira's, too.
Okay, let's go first. I guess what are, with the defense struggling, the offense struggling, what are reasonable expectations moving forward in terms of what to look for on the field?
Man, I think what he said about where the offense is now is when you want to start thinking about the future, that's what I get. That's where I get the concern, because it is true. Like, what do they do when Jordan Travis isn't running around? Now, I should say that. Look, they put up 28 on Notre Dame with 9 rushing yards, so it wasn't all just him making. But that play that he threw to Parchment in the end zone for the 28th point, I think, of that game, the scramble to his right. That's a play that nobody else on the team's probably making. That's a broken play. The 2 runs were broken plays. I think they were all his rushing yards were scrambles. That's, you wonder, okay, when is that offense that we're supposed to see getting the playmakers, when is that really going to take hold? And then you look, okay, Trayshawn had a 65-yard run. Corbin's had a couple of really big runs. They've hit big plays. They consistently can't move the ball 70 yards in like 11 plays. That's not what they do. They can't do it. They can't block. They can't block consistently enough. They can block consistently. They can have moments, 2-3 plays in a row, or one play where they give him time and he can make the read, but they do not block consistently enough right now in the passing game for you to think that you can really make hay throwing the ball. No matter if, again, like I say, Mahomes, I sound like Jimbo right there. Like I say, if Mahomes was back there, if you don't have time to throw, and then you start feeling it because you're so used to being pushed out of the pocket immediately, it affects everything. So, I don't even know if this answers the question. The number one goal this offseason is you have to go find a couple more dudes for the offensive line. You got some guys coming back, but you just don't know how healthy they're going to be. Or frankly, with Robert Scott, we both think he's pretty good, right?
Yes.
But we don't know.
Right.
We don't know. There's not real proof. Same with Darius Washington. Darius Washington, I think, has proven a little bit more, but they're all young. None of them are good right now, and you hope they become good. I think Maurice Smith is probably the best of the bunch, but how long, what's his health status like? So I just think that is by far the biggest deficiency, because everything is predicated on that. Like, yeah, the receivers aren't good, but it wouldn't much matter how good the receivers were if you don't have confidence that you can block it up well enough for them to get open. So I just think that's looking in the offseason, if they're going to open up the portal again for 10 or 11 more guys, it has to be more than one. They got Dylan Gibbons. You have to find a way to get more than one guy coming in here to help shore up this offensive line. Just for, I was going to say for depth purposes, but they said going into the season they had 7 or 8 guys they were comfortable with. Well, what's that going to be next year? DLT leaves, Babion leaves. Are they? Do they feel good about anybody else that's behind them?
Yeah, they like Schrader, but Schrader's been hurt. They do like
Lloyd
Willis.
True, and
I think Rod Orr's a guy that might be able to grow. I'm going to try to ask Norvell about it on Wednesday, just about because they're going into the bye week after North Carolina. I don't know when we're going to get him again, but just like, is this a point in the season where like there's short-term, long-term plans for these freshmen? Like, do you kind of see, all right, like, what do we have from Lloyd Willis? What do we have from Rod Orr? Like, can we get these guys ready to contribute in November?
And they don't, like, obviously players are the most important thing by far. It's the personnel on this team. It's not a Florida State caliber roster. Not even close. Not even like an 09 Florida State roster. But are they being developed? Like, are they just terrible football players and you just got to recruit over all of them? Or are they not getting developed at the rate they need to get developed? And that goes for linebackers, offensive linemen, wide receivers. I mean, you've had these wide receivers now on campus for 18 months. None of them can do diddly. None of them have done diddly in a game. When's the development going to start showing up on Saturdays? If you could see some of that for the next 8 games, however many they win, 1, 2, 3, if you can start seeing some of these young guys actually produce, and you're not just leaning solely on Jermaine Johnson, Keir Thomas, guys that won't be here next year, Jordan Travis, not that he won't be here, but you just don't know what his status will always be. His name should be Jordan Status. Anything? Anyone? So that's what I want to see is some of the guys from Norvell's recruiting classes. I want to see them making strides, even in losses. You want some positivity. You want to see some steps from last year till the end of this year. Like guys actually getting better where you can project, okay, in 2022 and in 2023, these guys might actually be all conference kind of guys. Because right now I don't know that you have anybody like that. Who's the guy that you think's developed the most from last year to this year? Because I think my answer, just because I didn't think about him at all last year, is Deloach.
Yeah, he's up there. Either him and then maybe like Darius Washington. Although, I mean, I'm looking at the PFF grades, and I mean, he's great at 60.2. And 60 is, again.
Well, hey, man, remember the days of Bello and who was the other guy? Jawan.
Oh, I know. Well, we fired all those guys.
They were like 19s and 14s. So they're, as a redshirt freshman, if Darius Washington's grading out at a 60 on this line, that's not terrible. And again, it's PFF. We take it with a grain of salt. But I think he has a chance to be a nice player. He's young, and he should get bigger, better, and stronger.
That's the thing, though. It kind of goes back to what I was trying to say a little bit at the beginning of the show. I'm not trying to be a nihilist here. I just don't really know what the next 6 weeks are going to tell us about this team moving forward. Like we've gotten to the point where we no longer, like as a national media, put too much stock into bowl games. Like we try to check ourselves. Like just because a team played well in a bowl game doesn't mean they're going to project well to the following season. I really don't know if they hit their head on their ceiling this year and win 3 more games. Will obviously feel much better than if they finish the season out 2-10, but I really don't know what that's going to tell us. We're still going to be sitting here in June and July hoping Darius Washington makes a big step. Hoping I don't think there's just a lot of, I don't know if we're going to learn, we're not going to get a lot of stuff, I don't think in the next 6 weeks where it's like, all right, we know what we have and we feel good about this, that, and the other. In terms of off-season changes, sorry to cut you off, Corey, but just to finish off his question, then I'll let you get in on it. If these reasonable expectations were met with the on-field play, what would you expect in the offseason? I mean, I would assume you're probably going to change what you're doing defensively because they're still struggling unless they go crazy. And then I shouldn't even say if they're not. They are who they are. They've had good quarters and they've had really bad quarters, and they've mixed it all together. I just don't think that's a tenable sort of situation if you're going to be coming off a 3-9. You go 3-6. 3-9, you can't bring the whole band back together. I don't know what a new linebacker coach or a new DB coach really does for you. I just hope they can really go outside the box or get some young guy from the NFL that's been like a position coach for a decent program or like a lower level assistant. Like follow that Jeff Hafley model. Like he's a guy that cut his teeth in the NFL, got a DC job at Ohio State, kicked ass there. Now he's got a head coaching job at a Power 5 program, and I guarantee you in 2 seasons he'll be the next like Matt Rule that's going to get, courted by NFL teams. Like try to find that guy, please.
Yeah, I mean I definitely think I'm with you. I think there'll be some coaching if they finish 3-9, which we think is what they're aiming for, 3-9, 4-10, 2-10, or 4-8, 2-10, somewhere in that range. You can't sell that to the fan bases. Everybody's coming back. And also, your defense has improved, but how much is that due to guys that won't be here next year? A lot. So with that in mind, yeah, that's probably going to happen. What I was going to say is, what if Jordan Travis plays the next 8 games, 7 games, stays healthy?
Yeah.
And they do average. I mean, they're playing at Clemson and at Florida, so those are going to be tough. But those other games, they do average somewhere like 33, 34 points a game in those other 5 games. They go put 33 on Boston College. They do beat NC State 38-35 here, something like that. I think maybe you feel good about that. That okay, he stayed healthy. He's actually a productive quarterback. They can move with him. It does not look like it's supposed to, probably. There are some head-shaking moments, but that guy, when he's on the field, makes plays. Because what might happen is he might get hurt again, not play. You put in Chuba to see what he has, and what if he doesn't show much? Then where are you? Is it A.J. Duffy time as a true freshman against Duquesne? Look, we'll see. Ask us again in December. We'll give you any hope that we can about the direction of the program. I will say the roster isn't good. I know people don't like to hear it, especially my co-host.
It's his roster, though, man. It's his roster. He's got 2 full recruiting classes, and he went into the portal and picked up almost a dozen guys. I mean, it's his roster.
Well, he's got a bunch of – they're all freshmen. And then they're the guys that he picked up are all literally freshmen. They're either redshirt freshmen or freshmen. Those are his recruits. So I don't know that you could judge and say it's his roster. Yeah, it's a really young roster. Those guys, his recruits anyway. But I was going to say is – they do play harder, and that's something. Is it enough? Absolutely not. And we'll see how this thing finishes out. But they do play harder than the team last year and the team before that. So if you're looking for strides, at least you got that. At least maybe the mindset has changed. The mindset doesn't matter if you're still winning 3 games. But if you have a tough-nosed mindset, and I know that's cliche, but I don't care. You can see it. When you have that kind of mindset and then you sprinkle in better players into that culture, that's the only hope you really have. Because right now, if you're just looking, I mean, there's what magic button are you going to push with this crew? But if you're looking for building blocks, that's one. They seem to be a more likable team. They do try hard until the end. They do play hard. You want to call it participation trophy, that's great. That's the bare minimum. Well, Florida State wasn't getting the bare minimum for years. Now they at least got that. If he can't add players to go on top of that, the foundation crumbles anyway. It doesn't matter. But maybe he can. And then we'll all be dancing in 2023.
MyBookie.ag. Get involved in winning season over there. They're the only sportsbook that offers online super contests where you can turn $10 into $10,000. Do their picks against the spread NFL style, weeks 5 through 8. Get the games right, earn points, rise up the standings, take home that $10,000 grand prize. Promo code WARCHANT when you make your first deposit at MyBookie makes you receive double your deposit. Promo code WARCHANT, double your funds, double your winnings. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie. Corey, give us a 3-pack. I'll give you a couple games. You can tell me yay or nay. Red River Red River rivalry, whatever they call it. You want action on that one? Texas catching 3.5 points from Oklahoma. Or you want to punt on that?
I like Texas.
So do I.
I'm not a believer in the Rattler. Now that means he's due to have like one of those Oklahoma quarterback games where they go 38-41 for 450. But yeah, they play every game close. They haven't been really impressive at all. Wouldn't it be awesome to be covering a team, or for you guys to be cheering for a team that hadn't been impressive and is like number 8 in the country? I like Texas. I'd like Texas. I think they got something for them.
What about hapless UConn at UMass? UMass catching 3.5 at home. UConn almost beat Vandy the other night.
I saw. I think I like UConn in that one. You're saying UMass is only an underdog by 3.5
at home? Yeah, I know, right? Watch out.
I might actually go make this bet. UConn's got to be feeling good. They took a big, powerful SEC team to the last play, and they're going to go play UMass now.
And Bell's looking ahead. He's looking ahead to coming back home, trying to shock the world.
Yep. So, I'll take UConn there.
All right, and last one, the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Georgia at Auburn. Georgia giving 14.5.
Auburn.
Ooh, come on.
I like Auburn's run defense. Okay. LSU didn't even try. I watched the end of that game. LSU, I think their last 25 plays were passes. They just didn't even try to run. They're like, we can't do this. Georgia's bread and butter is running, but that's all they can do. Stetson Bennett's probably going to be the quarterback, and that's a lot of points on the road against a decent team. I know Georgia's defense is ferocious. I know Auburn's not going to score a ton, but I don't expect Georgia to score a ton either. I'm looking at like a 20-10 type game.
Okay, there you go. Maybe take the under, everybody. MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code WARCHANT. Before we stepped away for that, Corey, you talked about check back in December, so I'm gonna skip our guy Mark. I'll come right back to you, Mark. We're going out of order. I apologize. I love you. You're still a pillar. This comes from Noles756. Funny rewind, he says. Gator Kirk asked you guys back in February who would be more impressive for the 2021 season, Travis Jay or Jordan Wilson. Aslan was not high on Jordan then. Parentheses, win for Aslan. Corey picked Travis Jay initially, but then wanted to readdress this later in October. Now, Mr. Champagne Clark, who will have a bigger impact on the rest of the season? Travis Jay or Jordan Wilson? Go Noles, beat the Tar Heels.
So not Jordan Travis, Jordan Wilson.
Jordan Wilson, yeah. Tight end, UCLA.
Gator Kirk asked us about Travis Jay versus Jordan Wilson. I feel
would
like that's a push. Like Travis Jay hasn't. Jordan Wilson's done as much as Travis Jay.
Well, that's
unfortunately.
the point of it. That's the point of it. It's just be close.
It'd be nice if he got healthy, wouldn't it? We're talking about that on headlines, man. Like, what's up with the injuries? My theory is that they have a secret fight club. Okay. And all the Florida State players just beat the bejesus out of each other somehow. Like, they are always banged up. Not necessarily out for the season, but they're in boots. They're barely practicing. Half of them aren't available for the day. Like, the secondary and the O-line, they're just always beat up.
A lot of green jerseys out there. Not as much yesterday, though. Not as
all
much
right,
on
well,
Tuesday.
that's good. I mean, I wonder if it goes around. I'm sure it's every college football team, but man, it just seems like they can't. Like, Travis Jay's hurt, Akeem Dent's hurt, Jarian Jones was hurt last year, Miko Dotson was hurt last year and wasn't around this year. You know, like with this game, it's like they're just not around. They're never available, which doesn't help build continuity when you can't get guys. That Jeff Cameron's theory is that they're not made of the same clay as other players at other schools. Maybe they're not built as strongly, and they're a little more, susceptible to breaking down. But I would say going the rest of the way, Jordan Wilson, man.
Oh,
if Jordan Travis is the quarterback, they're going to be blocking. They're going to have him in a lot. He's going to be out wide trying to block on those wide receiver screens. Hopefully, better than they did it last week. And I just think he's going to have more of an impact. He's going to play more plays than Travis Jay.
Of 34 offensive players on Pro Football Focus, of the 34 offensive players that have played a snap, Jordan Wilson is the second lowest graded on offense.
Hey, how many plays has he played, though?
127.
There you go. And how many has Travis Jay played the last 2 weeks? 1? I mean, it was an intercept. He leads the team in picks, by the way. He's intercepted 2 Hail Marys.
He's a closer, man. Like, if someone's
couldn't get him on the field for Jacksonville State at the end, huh? Oh, well.
Oh, man. All right, let's go back to Mark in Naples. Wake up. You guys know I'm generally Mr. Optimism, but listening to Aslan go through PFF numbers for passing coverage on Tuesday morning was a bit sobering. Unless the secondary starts communicating and has a career day, could be a long afternoon. Corey, the Falcons might put Sam Howell high up on their draft board after this one. Also, Papucha seems like a sharp guy, and Norvell has preached the vital importance of special teams. Memphis was always in the top 5. I think FSU is barely ranked better than 90. Are they going to fix this by November when we face NC State, Miami, Boston College, and Florida? It's so important when you're not a great football team to have strong special teams. It's like Clemson going from best offense in the ACC to the worst. Can't happen, right? Oh, wait, it did. I'll be rooting hard on Saturday, but we need a special effort in pass coverage and, of course, pressure from the defensive line. Go Noles.
Well, they should be able to get pressure now if you want to break down that game. Like I think Duke had 5 sacks in that game. I know North Carolina put up 38 or whatever, but, I mean, Howell was sacked 5 times. Georgia Tech had him run for his life. Like, their offensive line has some serious issues in pass protection, so you should be able to get some pressure on the guy, maybe force some bad throws. But, yes, the secondary is not a strength. They have not been a strength, and I don't foresee them continuing to be a strength or ever being a strength this year. But on the special teams topic, he's right. So I looked it up. According to our man Fimrau, who does the special teams efficiency stats, Florida State is 8.
Do you want to DM him and see if he'll come on the show?
No. I wonder if he'd talk about a team that's like 74th in his – I wonder if he has like a limit. Like, I'm not talking to anybody for a team outside the top 40. So they're 87th in special teams this year. Last year, they were 22nd. which I was like, I didn't realize that. I mean, they were pretty good last year. They weren't great. Like, they didn't make any, other than they had some block kicks. But they didn't make any game-changing necessarily plays and returns, but they weren't terrible and they didn't give up any big returns. So they were 22nd last year in special teams. This year they're 87th. His 4 years at Memphis, they were 1st, 2nd, 12th, and then there was 1 year they were 54th or something. So this is crazy. This is crazy to be this bad. And when you're like Mark said, when you're playing the likes of Miami, NC State, Boston College, games that you hope you're in the fourth quarter, like games you can keep close. Those aren't incredible teams that you're trying to beat. They're better than you probably, but they're not they're not 30 points better than you. You can beat those teams, but you got to win special. You need to start dominating in special teams. Bad teams that aren't good on offense and aren't good on defense, but can dominate special teams, that can steal you a win or two every year. And I think that's what they thought would happen this year and last year, and it hasn't really happened at all. Their best special teams game last year was the first one against Georgia Tech, and they lost it anyway. So I'm with you, Mark. I'm ready for the special teams to start making an impact. Whether it's in the return game, the field position game, they're really bad at everything right now. They're good at punt coverage, but they don't do anything in punt return. They don't do anything in kick return. They certainly weren't great at kick coverage on Saturday. There's just nothing they're doing well right now. And when you're not a good football team, all those hidden yards matter. If you give Jordan Travis the ball at the 34 instead of the 19, well, that makes it easier to go score. That's a lot easier for this offense. It's appreciably easier. So I hope that hopefully we'll start seeing that, and they can maybe win a game or steal a game with a big return or a block kick or something.
Let's wrap these two into one. They're of the same ilk. Pratt-Nole AL, guessing he's a Prattville Lion. Wake up. Our, I hate those two words back to back. Just the word hour. I always feel like I say as it's minutes, seconds, minutes, hour, as opposed to like it's our dual ownership. I don't know. Stop talking.
Okay.
Defensive backs. Are they playing poorly or being coached poorly or a little bit of both? It's sometimes hard to tell on TV because you can't see the whole backfield. And that dovetails into Daryl from Thomasville, North Carolina, Captain D_63. Wake up, Corey and Aslan. Hope you two are having a blessed week thus far. Our front is playing much better this year. We're putting much more pressure on the quarterback. As most have noticed, our defensive backs are leaving receivers wide open multiple times in the game. I guess one of my questions would be, is this lack of coaching, lack of experience, or guys not listening to coaching and following what they are taught in practice? If the latter is in play, then what are we going to get, or when are we going to get players in here that play the positions they are brought into play and listen to coaching and put it on the field like they know how to play football? Defensive backs. Yeah. Who do you want to blame? Both. I mean, it is a little bit of both. They're all not going to get fired. He probably is. Like at practice, he teaches these guys in between reps, but they're really quick 5-second talks. So I feel like they do know. And it's like clarification on, hey, you should have done this. It's not like a 15, 20-second, I say this, but I thought you meant this. No, I meant this. Are you? It's kind of like 5 seconds. He goes up. You're supposed to do this. They nod. He taps them on their helmet. They run back and do another rep. So whatever the confusion is, it does seem like they're able to kind of nip it in the bud on the field during practice. Why it keeps happening in these games, though, I find it. I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that they're being taught so poorly that no one has stepped in, right? Like Marcus Woodson hasn't gone to Odell, or Odell hasn't gone to Norvell and be like, hey, man, like they're in these meeting rooms, man, they're just not picking it up. You got to come in and help out. You got to tell Adam to do this or that because they're not picking up the messaging. Like I'm around football. I don't even know what he's saying, coach. You know, but hey, then you can't blame players either. So, and it sounds like I'm defending Adam Fuller. I'm not, man. I'm not. But just there's problems everywhere, man. These guys are not. There's no one's playing like their true position. They don't know what they want to do. Travis Jay, the other staff didn't know what they want to do with Travis Jay. At what point is it the staff's fault? Maybe he's not a real safety. Maybe he's not a real cornerback.
If Travis Jay keeps leaping up and catching Hail Marys, put him a receiver. He might be the only one on the team that'll go jump and get a ball. He's got good ball skills, apparently. That interception he made against Duke last year, like go switch positions If he's going to make no impact at all on one side of the ball, you can at least throw it up to him. I feel like you got a chance he's going to go make a play.
And I'm saying, and Asante Samuel looked good in 19, and he looked good last year with 2 different staffs. Maybe because he's just a badass, and Asante Samuel just can cover a dude. He's not gonna,
but even with Asante Samuel, your pass defense was still horrific.
Yeah,
because you leave things wide open in the middle of the field against everyone, and that's what's so that's what's so worrisome. Is it's not. I don't think it's like, man, well, we just can't cover. We don't have the bodies. You could get a bunch of 1-star kids to at least be in the right position.
What's the thing, Corey?
In zone coverage, they could at least be in the right position. You could teach zone and be in the right position and know when to pass off and when not to pass off. And this is my guy. Now, if you get mossed because you're a 5'9", 1-star recruit, well, then yeah, that's the ability of the people on the roster. But when you're just running free, it wouldn't matter if they're confused. If they either don't understand it or you're not communicating it well, whatever the case is, if they're that confused every week, that can't just be, well, we got a bunch of dumb kids that don't know anything.
Well,
you teach them. That's your job.
If you're doing the same thing wrong all the time, it's more likely coaching. If you're doing all sorts of different stuff wrong all the time, it's probably personnel.
Well, and like we said, and we brought this point up, in that Notre Dame game, I didn't think Fuller, other than the third down crazy blitz, I didn't think he did anything. I mean, Cone didn't have a ton of easy throws, except for the tight
touchdown.
end.
Yeah, the first touchdown.
Well, right, of course, I forget about that. I mean, good grief, Florida State they've had one touchdown like that all year, and Helton dropped it. But meanwhile, it happens 3 times a game to their defense, where guys are just running free. And you can't say it's just the players can't keep up with the guys, because they're not even in the picture half the time. And that was what was so hard to see about the Syracuse game, is you're like, okay, they got this on lock. They're feeling good. No, they're just going to leave a guy wide open in a huge moment in the game. A kid that can't make a throw from here to his mama. It's a weird thing to say. That doesn't even make sense. Just don't worry about it. But that quarterback was not any good. But if you give him a wide open target with nobody near him, oh yeah, he can make that throw. What's Howell going to do? He doesn't have to have huge windows to make throws. And do you have any faith that they're going to shut down the middle of the field? And at least not shut it down, because Howell puts up points and yards on everyone. But at least make it hard for him. At least make it hard for him. Make his receivers have to go make plays. That's what you hate to see, is this team, these defensive backs. I shouldn't say never. There's a lot of passes that are incomplete, I guess. A lot of the time don't seem to be in the right position to even defend it. And quit giving up such easy throws. And that's why I think, yes, something's being lost in the teaching. And it doesn't help that there's so many guys rotating back there, but you've got to teach better. I don't know, make them take a test on Friday night. Make them take a test on Thursday morning when you take them out there. Like, change the way you're drilling. Change the way you're implementing the game plan. Do something so, number one, these guys can play more zone and maybe break and react on the ball, and you're not worried about them just letting guys run free. And also pass off guys in coverage. Know what they're supposed to be doing. Figure that out, because it's been pretty hard to watch. But I love you, Adam.
And get healthy.
Get it together, man.
And get healthy.
Go shut down North Carolina this week. You might get a contract extension.
And if
how about that, Aslan? If he shuts out North Carolina Saturday,
absolutely,
would you give him a year on his contract, another year?
I'd give him another week. Daryl continues, second question, who calls the plays? I think he means offense, because he continues, that being said, why don't we ever call plays where receivers are crossing the middle of the field anymore? Our playing is pitiful, and these defensive coordinators don't fear us because of our playing here lately. Do you see the same? Yeah, everybody wants slants. Everybody wants crossers. I don't know how much of that is maybe not having a tall quarterback, maybe being afraid to throw it in traffic over the middle. Ball gets tipped. You're probably turning the ball over, and they don't want that kind of stuff to happen. You're safer off throwing it against the boundary towards the sideline. But yeah, part of their offense is a lot of, doing these bunch formations on the field side. I mean, they that's what they did the entire time against Syracuse, but they said that was because of the pressure that Syracuse brought, and that was the only way they could really get the ball out quickly. So yeah, I don't know why, Corey, but everybody wants crossing routes. They want stuff between the seams. Where is it? Why aren't they doing more throws over the middle, Corey? Crossers, slants.
Florida State?
Yes. Offensive.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because maybe the defense defends it so well in practice, and they're like, look, if we can't complete crossing routes against these guys, why even try?
Is it? I mean, what I was saying a little bit earlier, it's a little bit more of a high-risk pass because there is usually more traffic in the middle of the field. Like when you throw it to the boundary, throw it near the sideline, on the outside of the numbers, it's, you probably get pass interference. It goes incomplete, goes out of bounds. You're just more safe there than if you're trying to throw it. I mean, you have to be decisive when you make those throws over the middle unless you are running wide open like the opposition does. Maybe I'll ask him that Wednesday. I know I'm supposed to ask him a bunch of questions, and I haven't asked him any of the questions that people want me to ask him, but maybe I'll.
Well, one thing you have to keep in mind, I think, with those crossing routes is most of them, not all of them, but most of them come with time in the pocket. And I just don't know how many routes they run and how many pass routes they call, plays they call, to have a guy dragging all the way across the field. I don't think they trust their guys, their quarterback, to maybe see it, get rid of it, but also for their line to block it up.
All right, last one. It's just a sentiment that we'll share as we go off. We'll be back live 6 o'clock on YouTube, so join us then.
Speaking little later.
620, I apologize. Speaking of the number 6, Noles 6. Wake up. Good day, guys. We can beat North Carolina. We did last year with a much younger team. I believe we can stop the run with our front four. We just have to be productive and have some productive play from the secondary to control that passing game. We won't stop it. Let's just bend, not break. Also, please, fair catch. Please. That is all. Go Nole Nation. Beat North Carolina. Amen, brother.
You're not going to be saying that when old Ja'Kai Douglas is streaking 96 yards to the house.
Touché.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just going to hit it. He learned his lesson. He was playing the long game. He was setting up Carolina with those returns against Syracuse. And he's just going to hit a hole, and they're like, who's this? North Carolina's beatable. I mean, you're a 17-point dog, so it would take maybe the biggest upset in Florida State history, or one of them, to win this game. But, you have a good defensive line. Even without Briggs, you have a good defensive line. But can you get enough pressure on them to put them in a bunch of 3rd and 13s? You're going to have to force a couple turnovers. You're not good enough to beat a better team losing the turnover battle or even breaking even on it. You're going to have to force a couple of turnovers. And, hopefully Sam Howell throws a couple to you. You sack them, maybe a strip sack and a fumble, and Jordan Travis can put, 30-something on the board, and you take your chances.
Well said, Corey. Do it again at 6:20 live on YouTube for all the masses that'll be watching. So that'll be your Thursday podcast. In the interim, don't forget 1 to 3 o'clock, Jeff Cameron Show live on YouTube, on Warchant TV. Subscribe, thumbs up. Also 93.3 FM. And they'll be practicing Wednesday morning. We'll have updates and some interviews. Maybe I'll ask about the crossing routes. I can't promise anything. I'll promise we'll be back 6:20, Corey and myself live. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant. Fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.